Hey, hello, what's up, everyone? In this video, I'm going to teach you about what happens when Venus is in the seventh house of your horoscope. So, before beginning, if you guys not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel, hit the bell icon, and click the like button. So, let's begin. Now, what does seventh house represent? See, guys, seventh house represents mainly it is your partner's house. Okay, since first house represents your house or yourself, seventh house is directly opposite to the first house, which represents your partner's house or your spouse house or your, you know, all types of business related house. Anything daily transactions, your enemies, your opponents, etc., can be seen from the seventh house. Okay, your customers, your clients, these are all things can be seen from the seventh house. Now, what happens when Venus is sitting in the seventh house of your birth chart? So that shows that Venus feels very much happy when it is placed in the seventh house, because Venus is itself represents marriage. Venus represents spouse. When it is sitting in the seventh house, which is the house of marriage, spouse, it feels happy. It feels like it is sitting in its own house. Okay, so that's the one thing. It also shows that whenever if you want to make your wife happy, okay, then give whatever the spouse or wife wants. Okay, which means, let's say for example, the spouse wants to go to see movie, then take the spouse to watch movie. Okay, like that, make her happy, make him or her happy. Okay, that's the only way to keep your marriage very successful. Okay, it also shows that after you getting married, when Venus Mahadasha or Antardasha is running, you will get a very great hike in your company or in your office. Okay, so this is the one of the most thing that I've seen, and this also shows that you'll get a very beautiful spouse. Okay, now it also shows that whenever Venus is in the seventh house, these people they immediately get committed in a relationship in a very faster way. Okay, which means, let's say for example, you're dating a particular guy or you're dating a particular girl who has Venus in the seventh house, they immediately accept you, which means they might take some 1 month, but still they will accept it within 1 or 2 months. They don't, you know, prolong it for so long. So that's the one of the beautiful things where Venus is in the seventh house. Okay, and it also shows that they will also be ready to get married very much earlier as soon as they possible. That's what Venus loves to be in a relationship. Okay, and also they will be a very beautiful spouse who has Venus in the seventh house. Now it also shows that you'll get a very handsome spouse or a very beautiful spouse. Okay, which means handsome man or a beautiful wife if Venus is in the seventh house. That's the most important thing that you need to make a note down out of it. Now, let's say, for example, if Sun and Venus are in the seventh house coming to the conjunction, then that shows that you need to be very much careful in terms of relationship, because Sun might burns up your relationship, which means due to the ego or due to some ego clashes or some arguments, exchange of verbal arguments or physical abuse, you might get breakup. Okay, because of the Sun involvement or due to some dominant nature. Okay, that's the one thing you need to make sure of it, because sun burns things wherever it sits. It might be in any sign, it doesn't matter, because sun itself is hot planet, right? Sun is a star generally in a scientific way if you see, but in Vedic astrology sun is a planet, so it burns things generally. Okay, so that's the one thing you need to take a note on. But sun and Venus are very much good for in terms of professional wise, because it will be sitting 10th from itself. Okay, so that's where sun in the seventh house, if it is in the own sign or an exalted sign, it gives you government jobs generally. What I have seen is okay. Coming to moon, what happens when moon and Venus are sitting in the seventh house? So what is moon? Moon represents your mother. Moon represents nurturing, caring. Okay, moon also represents emotions, expressing your feelings to others. So when moon and Venus are sitting in the seventh house, that shows that You will get a partner who might be very much emotional, who might take care of you, who might nurture you. Since moon will be aspecting to the first house, the person opposite you who will come near you will take care of you. That's the one thing. And the spouse will be very much romantic. Moon and Venus in the seventh house, and also these people sometimes will be romantic. You can check it. And it also shows that these people, their spouse will be very much expressive, emotional, will be like motherlyhood, like that. Now, coming to what happens when Mars is with planet Venus. So this is the kind of placement where love and desire comes together. Especially in the seventh house, it increases more. So Mars means desire, Mars means boyfriend, Venus means love, romance, etc. Mars is of passion. So when it is in the seventh house, so these people, they have great passion, or desire to get a love marriage. Okay, it also shows that these people, they want to be loved. Otherwise, their desire will gets unfulfilled. That's the thing that I've seen when Mars and Venus. It also shows that these people can physically abuse their spouse or partner. So you need to be careful, since Mars represents physical things, actions, and all. And spouse can be very much aggressive if it is in the seventh house, especially. Now, sports can also be dynamic and interested in sports, all this kind of stuff when Mars and Venus are in the seventh house. Now, what happens when Mercury and Venus are in the seventh house? So, when Mercury and Venus are in the seventh house, so that shows that you'll get a spouse who might be very much youthful at looking, who might be very good at communication, good at business mind, or good at business, uh, you know, um, taking decisions, or generally good at business kind of things, and business thinking, those kind of things. Your spouse will be very good. It also shows that your spouse will be very good at mathematics if Mercury is strong. And also Mercury and Venus, the spouse will be very much jovial. Spouse will be very much creative at artistic things, loves arts, music, etc. Like this kind of things. Now, what happens when Jupiter and Venus are placed in the seventh house? Now, what does Jupiter represent? See, Jupiter represents generally your knowledge. It also represents wisdom. It also represents education. It also represents children. So Jupiter and Venus sitting in the seventh house. So that shows that you will get a spouse who might be very much educated, very much capable of knowing what is right, what is wrong, these kind of things. It also shows that your spouse, loves to share knowledge with you. Okay, or you might like to share knowledge with your spouse. So those kind of things can be seen when Jupiter and Venus are in the seventh house. Now, it also shows that when your spouse comes into your life, your luck will rise when Jupiter and Venus are sitting in the seventh house, irrespective of the houses they are ruling. I don't know. Okay, so but still, it will give you very great rise. Now, what happens when Saturn and Venus are sitting in the seventh house? Now, what does planet Saturn represent? Saturn represents, hardworking, practical, determination, workaholic, someone who looks older than their age. So these are things Saturn represents. So Saturn is a slow moving planet. So when Saturn and Venus are sitting in the seventh house, so that shows that it is a very great placement to be there in the seventh house, especially for both Saturn and Venus, because Saturn loves commitment. Saturn loves responsibility. Venus loves to be in a relationship. So in a relationship, responsibility becomes main priority or criteria. So there, Saturn gives very great results. And okay, it also shows that in your professional life also you'll be rising very high, because Saturn is hitting 10th from 10th. Saturn, gets exalted in the seventh house in the Libra zodiac sign. But generally, Saturn in the seventh house also gets Digbala. Digbala means it's getting very strength. Okay, there is something known as Digbala and all. I'll explain it in a later videos or upcoming videos so that you will understand. So generally, Saturn and Venus is great combination, but it gives you very older looking spouse, but also mature and responsible spouse. Now, what happens when Venus is with Rahu in the seventh house? So that shows that these people will have multiple affairs. It also shows that these people they need to be careful. They might get cheated in love. It also shows that they might be very much toxic about love and relationship, etc. Now, what happens when Venus is with Ketu? So, what does planet Ketu represents? It is the Moksha Karaka, spiritual planet. It also shows that detachment or separation, divorce. So, when Venus and Ketu are in the seventh house, so these people might get separated from the spouse for longer period or shorter period. That depends upon the planetary placements and the nakshatras it is sitting in. Okay, so these are the things. It also shows that the spouse will be very much spiritual, spouse will be very much isolated, or the person will be isolated from the spouse. So these all things can be seen when Venus and Ketu are sitting in the seventh house of the horoscope, or in the D1 chart, Rashi chart, or the Lagna chart. Okay, so yeah, this was my analysis regarding the Venus sitting in the seventh house of D1 chart. So if you are new to my channel, please subscribe below, or else I'll see you in the next video. So if you want any consultancy, please to contact my given below WhatsApp number, or else you can even mail me also. So until and unless, thank you, bye bye, love you, take care.